let's start recording just to see what happens. And I guess now let's start streaming. And looks like we are live. Let's fire up some music, namely this badass new record we just came out with. Alright, that's going. Sounds like it's working. Changing things up. Sounds like all my audio's coming through. At least it looks that way. Let's try plugging in my. This always happens. There we go. Wonder if that's any better. Playing our new album right off of our campaign. Let that run and everyone enjoy it. Awesome, we have one person in the chat. Alright, maybe odds are Alright. Need more Todd in the headphones. Alright. We're gonna crank up the gain on the mic. But Christopher, you always ask me the square roots of things. And I just dropped stuff. Alright, Rick is en route. No idea how we're gonna do this. But we have a fancy new overlay for everything, thanks to Rick. I'm in a window. Talking head action.
She wakes me up screaming. Look at the TV.
So, I don't know. Keep me posted on how everything sounds.
Why don't you
Oh.
She tells me I'm
Hey, Danielle.
of running away.
Keep me posted on how everything sounds. Make sure it sounds okay.
By the hair.
Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Oh man, this is gonna be good times. All right, go replenish my iced tea. so good.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberty or democratic process.
Watching for a loaded gun. Meanwhile, upon the hill, a decision is made, laws written to kill. There's no assurance, no jobs to make it at all. Paycheck to paycheck, counting the days, scratching them in the wall with a knife, with a fight, even if it's not right. Life may be a criminal, the crime is being
Such fancy lights. What kind of budget will work here?
just
Oh, hey!
What's going on, man? How are you?
Oh, hold on. I just realized. I think now I can hear you, maybe. Let's see here.
And I have to remember which camera I'm actually actively using. I have like 3 pointed at me right now.
Yeah, let's see here. I gotta figure out. How's that? Oh, okay, so that's how we do it. So I'm trying new fancy stuff here. So.
Hey, Chris.
And we are just messing around with the camera options here, trying to see if we can get everything to work right.
I might be better off hopping off and switching cameras. Actually, no, it might be good.
Let me see here. I wonder if there's a way to do like a split screen with this.
Oh, so what you have to do is you have to Is this better? Sure, this is Hello.
Hang on.
So what you gotta do is you gotta, you have to open up a different window in a different video capture in your sources.
No, I got that. I'm just trying to figure out how to change the window that we're chatting on so that I can split it. Because right now it's like OBS is just reading it as like one window, but it doesn't seem to want to do anything fancy like that. Because I can always just take it and put it right there. And then just make that larger.
I never use Hangouts. Because Hangouts, if the video footage changes when someone's talking or I'm talking. No, it's just
I can do it that way.
Here we go. Take that, Jenny. Here's my best friend. Oh, wait, which camera?
Rick's got the mad ambience.
Yeah. I've been ever since we've been all cooped up. It originally started as a way of sending messed up videos to another side project I'm involved in, but somehow I got addicted to it, and I've been trying the whole streaming thing. Trying to become one of them Facebook content creators. Get that sweet advertisement money, or like the 0.0001 penny per view and all that stuff. Clever.
Just experimenting with things here, trying to figure out how to.
So I assume. Let me get out of Twitch and look at. So I assume your setup in OBS is probably something along the lines of the image is the top layer, your video capture device, and then an audio input capture.
Yeah.
So I think, and I'm not there looking at.
Yeah.
Looking at or anything. I think you need to have another source open, and if I look, you're gonna want window capture, and you're gonna want the window. You want one source being the video capture device for yourself, i.e. your camera, and that'll be one square in the transparencies for the background that I made. And then you want another video you want a window capture, and you want to try and see if you can get the window capture. Once you have that opened, you want to go to create new and name it whatever you want, and then that's when you select in the field of what windows you want to capture. You want to capture whichever window has our Google Hangout feed with my face on it, and that way you'll have the video capture source with you, and we'll have a separate one altogether for me, and you can just shrink that one down and fit it into the transparency on the Downcity Armory. Awesome GIMP job that I did with my mad like Da Vinci talents. that was like 12 years to get that.
So I'm moving stuff around here, trying to see like. Alright.
I'm back in OBS.
Hold on.
So right now I'm
Yep.
is the top layer. So you probably see window capture at the very, very top of your source list. You want to click on it, but not to open it, but just to highlight it. And then with the down arrow, you'll move it down a layer.
I understand all that. You know what? I'll tell you what. We're just gonna pause the music because I can't hear a friggin' thing over myself screaming. While I'm trying to figure out how to do this, because that's how professional we are. So like this bit I understand about shrinking this down and making this look a certain way. I mean, that part I understand. What I don't think I can do... Yeah, I know, right? What I don't think I can do is get a second... well, I don't know. Maybe I can get a second.
I think you can. It's going to be weird to do, but it's...
So...
It is... It took me a while. It took me a while to figure it out, to be honest. Can anybody hear me? Oh, actually, I saw that I've been having mic troubles through Twitch. I don't know why. I'm also using my headset, though. If I don't use my headset, then I'm using an all-in-one, so the sound that I'm listening to will start backfeeding into the built-in microphone on the PC.
That's what. Yeah, I had to switch what I use too. So, oh boy. Yeah, I don't, because I think like I only have the one camera, so I think it only I don't think it'll let me create like 2 camera windows with
Well,
one free.
it's not a camera window you're trying to create. It's a window capture. It's a different source altogether.
Yeah.
But I can tomato, tomato, potato, potato.
Yeah, I don't know how to like switch it so that, because I understand like we need to have like 2 windows, like one for you, one for me, and then like, but I don't know how to create the second one because I don't think it'll allow me to do that.
All right.
So because then I still have to manually change the camera on the actual window that controls it, and that would just change it for both of us, even if I created a second one. So, because I can create it. And so now here's a second instance.
There you go.
Yeah. So then I can just move that there.
Yeah. You want to go a layer down with that one too. That'll get rid of the there you go.
Yeah. No, I get it, but the thing is that, you know, even though I've got these 2, the actual video feed is still controlled on only one window. So when I switch over to you,
so you're using so your video capture source is actually a direct feed from a window from your webcam
yeah,
on your desktop.
yep.
You can't do a direct video capture device and select the webcam you're using.
Apparently not.
Oh, okay.
So that's because I've tried this before, and it doesn't work at the same time. So if I'm doing the chat that lets me switch between the 2 of us, then yeah, it just defaults back to the, even if I try to create another one, it just defaults back to the little G-chat window we're using to talk with each other. So yeah,
right.
that's annoying. So tell you what we're gonna do. We're just going to go back, as fancy and awesome as this thingy is. We are just gonna go back to good old-fashioned G-chat window.
All right.
And I'll just manually switch between the 2 of us because that's what's going on. We've still got some time before we actually have to talk about the record, so let's just go back to the record.
It's not for anything bad. It's just for making cells pop on acrylic paint.
Sure it is.
I think I can get it. My big old crack rocks. Shows you how often I use it. I don't even know how to use it. Nope. Lord, how do you use this? I've only used it like once. Yeah. That'll be for some other video.
All right.
Oh, wait. I think I could actually talk in chat, too. I think I'm logged in on my other one.
I lost you in the crowd. Changing hands.
Oh boy. Still trying to find optimal things. We're so professional doing this.
Is this what it was like for
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, I can actually chat here. Nice.
Good.
Alright, I'll be right back. I'm gonna get a glass of wine. Be right back.
Please do. Yeah, everybody get your glasses of wine and other things before we actually get to talking about the record. Rick's abode is just way cooler than mine. If you haven't seen the video for this yet, check it out. It's on YouTube. I might play it later, I don't know. wish there was like a split screen function on this. We're gonna have to talk to the Google people about getting that. It seems a serious misstep.
I'm back.
Oh, good, you're back.
Yeah, had to help feed the vets. Didn't realize it was that time. All right.
Yeah.
Had to feed the menagerie. Hopefully people can hear me better now. I don't know.
Let us know in the good question. Christopher asked if this is going to be archived, and I think the answer is going to be yes.
The stream, you mean?
The stream, yes. So
You actually have to go in and tell Twitch that you want your previous streams to be saved.
well, I know I'm recording it.
Oh, cool.
So I've been recording it, so we'll at least have that.
She sought to fight something stronger than me. Night stakes, tear gas, run lines. But hope is a scream. We find our weapons where we can and keep to the plan till the good and great escape too late.
I love that song. I'm not sure which of our Perfect Drug's a damn good song.
Yeah, it is.
Remember, I spent about 2 weeks trying to get as close to nailing the drum solo as humanly possible. I got it pretty well. Doesn't sound the same. Engineered to sound the way it does. Funky. Oh, I actually forgot I have the headphones on. That means I can actually listen to the stream with the volume a little bit up. Not have to worry about feedback. I actually had no idea what songs people were talking about.
I've just been playing the record. I'm like still like playing with the audio mix, trying to like get things to sound right, and failing miserably. But we'll see. We'll figure it out eventually.
We're all new with this.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's going to be like a Twitch renaissance by the time this thing is over. Everyone's going to have a Twitch channel.
Just as we all get bored with it, too.
Right. Hey, Ray. What's up?
What's up, Ray? So, funny story about Ray. I was talking to Brian from Gotsicles and Gasoline and Vertebrate. I was congratulating him because he just released a great new record the other day. and I mentioned to him that I was reminded to check it out because I woke up this morning with Ray perched on my chest, holding up the record, being like, "Did you listen to it? Did you?" Because if you've been to a Goth Industrial show in Boston or Rhode Island recently, Ray's been there and is supporting everybody, which is amazing. Ray's one of those awesome civilians in the scene that we absolutely love. So thank you so much, Ray. Please return the key you obviously stole to my apartment. So.
Cheers to that.
Yeah. All right, it is 8, and if people have not yet heard the rest of the album, it is available on our Bandcamp page. Just came out today. People who got the pre-order should have them already. But I am going to smack pause on this right now. And even though we didn't quite get to the end there, but I just want to get things started here. And just welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. If you wandered here by accident or wondering what this is all about, today we have released Downcity Armory's first full-length album called The New Old World. It's our first full-length. It's the follow-up to our 2014 double EP, Year of the Horse, which incidentally, and I just realized this earlier, the double EP, Workhorse and Firehorse, was released on this exact same day 6 years ago, May 23rd. I didn't plan that at all. It totally happened by accidents, but I mean, these kinds of kismets just keep coming up. So yeah, so lot to talk about, lot to celebrate, lot to be thankful for. First of all, thankful to everybody currently in the chat that are hanging out with us. I was trying to think of like all the things I wanted to say and talk about when it came to this record and talking about this tonight, and I'm completely blanking on everything. But if I'm going quick, I would say first of all I'm going to thank my partner in crime, Rick. Wow, did he put up with a ton of crap from me when it came to making this record. Definitely want to thank all the other great musicians and artists that were involved in making this record, including our mix engineer, Christopher G. Brown, our mastering engineer, Devin, the other musicians that played on this, Jimmy, who played drums on like 5 tracks, mixed and engineered a bunch of stuff on it. Abe, who played bass on a couple songs. Johnny over in the UK, he is the mysterious voice that you hear throughout the record. Oh gosh, so many other people that I am probably forgetting. Rob Fusco, Rob Fusco was DCA's original drummer. He plays on the song Herd Cities. And incidentally, he just released his first solo album today. That is, I'll post a link to that later. It is awesome. I've been listening to it this afternoon. It is a killer record, so definitely go check that out. So what I wanted to do in celebration of the album, first of all, if you haven't gotten the album yet, you can go get it over at our Bandcamp page, downcityarmory.bandcamp.com. It's right there, and when you download it, we are asking $9 for it, but we're giving all our proceeds to charity like we always do. So we're going to be supporting some COVID-19 relief efforts with whatever you give us, and some people already have and given generously, and we really appreciate that. Thank you very much. So, uh, what I wanted to talk about to celebrate the record is for this record release. I mean, obviously, we're not having a record release party because COVID is keeping us all stuck inside. We were actually supposed to be playing Alchemy in Providence tonight with our friends in Decent News and Gasoline Invertebrate and Big Time Kill. But, obviously with the pandemic, everything's been shut down. And we thought about maybe doing a live broadcast, but we haven't been rehearsing as a band because it's been difficult trying to coordinate everyone's schedules. Rehearsal rooms have been closed. It's just been awful. The pandemic has obviously affected everything, and we hope that you're all doing everything that you can to stay safe and healthy out there. Because it's just getting scary, and I mean, I don't know. Some people say it's getting better out there. Some people say it's getting worse. I don't know. I'm putting a face mask on, so like, snow beasts, yes. So that's so I would just say let's just do that for the foreseeable future, and we'll probably figure it out eventually when it's gonna be right. So, what I want to do is actually to talk about another aspect of the record that I definitely put a lot of work into it. And I wanted to, and would help sort of explain a bit about what's going on with this record. The New Old World is a concept album. It is a record that tells a story. It's the first time I've ever tried writing a concept album. I've been wanting to write a concept album ever since I figured out what a concept album was, and so this was my first attempt at doing it. And so basically it's an album that's heavily influenced by a lot of different things, a lot of different records that I've appreciated over the years. And it tells the story of a very, very, very near future America. And when I say near, I mean near. One date that comes up a lot in the lyrics and throughout the record is 2021. The idea behind the album is that sometime after 2021, the economy of the United States completely collapses. And the reason that I picked 2021 is that I read somewhere that historically speaking, no government has survived longer than 50 years on a fiat currency. A fiat currency is when your government makes your currency not based on anything valuable. See, many years ago, in fact, about 50 years ago, we used to value our currency against gold. You used to be able to bring your currency to the bank and exchange your actual dollars for an equal amount of gold, or like gold bars or gold coins, just something that would equal that. It was called the gold standard, and that's what your money allowed your money to have value. In 1971, then President Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard. He did that so that he could artificially inflate the value of our currency, and he did this in part to fund the Vietnam War. And this basically meant that the thing that gave our money value was our faith, our belief that our economy would be strong and supported. But effectively, our currency has no value to it whatsoever. Historically speaking, governments don't last very long if they're on fiat currencies like this. 50 was the longest one historically speaking, or at least that's what I had read. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not a historian. I'm not an expert. But look around. So things seem to be going haywire, and lo and behold, here we are coming up on 50 years after Nixon shock, which was the specifically August 13th, 1971, which was the time when this happened. So 2021 would be 50 years hence. And so sometime after 2021, or really the date, and this pops up in the art and lyrics, is August 13th, 2021. That's when things start to go bad. That is sort of the backdrop for the other story that the lyrics tell, which is about a breakup between a couple who are, kind of at the end of their relationship. And as kind of a last-ditch effort to sort of save it, they end up joining a resistance movement to try and prevent the government from destroying itself and destroying the nation. But as they're breaking up, we sort of see that the country is breaking up. So there's allegory here, I know, high concept sort of stuff. Allegory here that, the couple that's telling the story that we're listening to is breaking up as we, the people, are breaking up with our historical ties to the nation. And so this is told throughout the music, which you can hear on our Bandcamp page, and also the artwork, which I've been working on for it. So to get started, we'll take a look at the cover. Or at least it would if, I know what I'm doing. Let's see. I just got to move some things around here. Namely this. And we'll pop this right there. There we go. Okay. So that is the full-size cover. That is the full-size cover for the New Old World. Now, one other thing that it happened during the recording of this album that most people know about is that I suffered a stroke about 2.5 years ago. I suffered an intracranial hemorrhage. Actually, I had a twofer. I had a combination clot type stroke that led to a bleed type stroke, or a burst ventricle in my brain. And it left me, it happened in the left hemisphere of my brain, which left me paralyzed or partially paralyzed throughout the right half of my body, head to toe. The cover, what you're looking at here, is actually a tattoo that is on my arm. I don't know if you can see it. There it is. A tattoo on my arm, which is based on an CAT scan of my brain and the hemorrhage that was in my brain. And so while the stroke and the brain hemorrhage and stuff doesn't really factor into the story, it did make for some interesting artwork and also for some backdrop as to sort of what we went through making this record, because this happened in the middle of us working on this album. Rick had just joined the band. We were working on songs. We were writing stuff. And then in December of 2017, I had this stroke and was hospitalized for 3 weeks. And since then, I've been in recovery and have been working really hard to, get all my faculties back, all my skills back, my guitar playing skills, my singing skills, everything, to try and get back to as normal as I possibly can. So while that wasn't an influence on the story, it was definitely an influence on the album. So that's what ends up being the cover here. So, but to get into the story, now I kind of wanted to play the music, but I think the music's going to be too loud if I'm trying to talk over it. So I'm just going to show the images, and that brings us to the second image, which is this one. So this is, this is spooky, me being between the two pictures here. So this image that you're seeing here. This is for the first track, which is called Fear. I'm a huge Hunter S. Thompson fan. And so the terms fear and loathing, which comes up later, appear on this record. And this first image is for Fear. And this one is basically, what you're looking at here is an underground chamber that is beneath a chapel that is in the Graceland Cemetery in Chicago. I went to Chicago last year. It was an amazing trip that I took. And while I was there, I was walking around the Graceland Cemetery, which was a few blocks from where I was staying. And I came across this chapel, went underneath it, and found this chamber down there. And I snapped this photo. And I used this for Fear because, at the beginning of the record, of everything that we were learning about, there is a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear in the nation right now. And it's not just fear of COVID or anything like that. It is fear of the future, fear of government, fear of your neighbors, fear of anything you can imagine. So fear is just a huge concept throughout this album. And that's what that image to me represented every time I looked at it. Which takes us into the second song, which is the introduction to the story, and it is called The Old World. And so this art here, by the way, all this artwork is included with their download of the new Old World. So you get a PDF booklet that has all these images on it. So this is the lyrics card for The Old World. And in this song, we're sort of beginning with the telling the story about what's happening. We're getting some perspective from the protagonist here, who's having a conversation with his girlfriend and trying to sort of figure out what they're going to do about the situation. She is, very incensed at him, but you get the sense right away from the lyrics that he's ready to leave. He wants to get out of here. He realizes that the country's falling apart. In this future scenario, the economy has completely collapsed. So he's ready to leave. He's ready to escape, but she wants to fight. And a lot of this artwork was all based on photographs that I took walking around Providence, where I live. And this was just you can see in the picture here, this was just a pane of glass that was lying half shattered and broken on the sidewalk. And I thought it looked really cool. So I took an image, took a picture of it. And it was just next to like a trash can. I'm always taking pictures of things like garbage or broken stuff or dead things, wherever I happen to find them. And so I've got tons of photos on my phone that are all stuff like this, and they work their way into the artwork for whatever project I'm working on. One thing that does come up, you'll notice is that I messed around with some of the text to try and make it sort of more interesting to read as you're going through it. And there's always a line of redacted text somewhere, because one thing about government documents is that they may release a document, but then there's going to be so much that's redacted from it. So there's always some redacted text on it. As we get into the next track. This brings us to Head to Head to Head. This was my white whale of a song, writing this one. This was the hardest to write. This one has so many different parts. There's probably like 4 or 5 different parts. It's really complicated to play, even though it's a relatively short song.
I'm terrified of playing this one live. I have to say something. I'm terrified of playing this one live.
we did it in rehearsal. You weren't there that day, Rick. You weren't there that day, but we actually did in rehearsal, and it came out pretty well. So, but we got through it. So I'm pretty confident. Right. But cool. That was the other thing that COVID stopped was our rehearsals. I'm still really mad about that. But this song lyrically is actually really complicated, because you actually hear from 3 different characters in this song. You hear from our protagonist and his girlfriend, but you also hear from a third character that I refer to as Decimator. And Decimator comes up a few times in the lyrics. Decimator is a character that represents a corrective force that is trying to restore some semblance of order to the world, but obviously not order that governments want. It's order that kind of more like what the people are needing. And Decimator does this in a number of ways. Decimator also gets represented in the music by the usage of distortion on my voice. Pretty much any time you hear me singing or screaming something that comes across as distorted or has a lot of fuzz on it, that's probably a line that comes from Decimator. Especially anything that I did with an organic like tube screamer type distortion, where I just sort of created the wave file. It wasn't something that was done in post or during the mixing stage or anything like that. It was kind of like creating basically a natural distortion that couldn't be adulterated later on. That is pretty much Decimator talking, and Decimator has a few lines in this song. So that's also why it's called Head to Head to Head, because it's really 3 people having a conversation throughout this song. So as you're listening to the song and if you're following along with the lyrics, you got to sort of keep that in mind. Like, there's three people talking. Who are they? I'll let you figure that out. The picture is just of some birds in Kennedy Plaza in Providence. So, next track would be Run and Gun. Now, Run and Gun, this is one of my favorite songs on the record. This was, I think, Rick, I think this was the first song we did together. This was definitely the first one that was kind of based on your music.
This is definitely the first one where you said, all right, we need a riff. And I had been trying to figure out what to do with this one for a while. It wasn't like it is in this song by any means. It kind of just wrote itself once we agreed that we were going to run with it. But Run and Gun.
Hey.
But
it was a great riff. It was a great riff. That opening chunky riff that you came up with, and I just ran with that. It really once we had that riff, like the song just wrote itself.
we did that one in a single sitting, I think.
Yeah. Like I think we like came up with like the basic structure in one day. Yeah, it came together really quickly. The lyrics took a little bit more. This actually, like, you could tell just by looking at the lyrics card here, like this one is wordy. You've actually got the verses over on the left and the chorus and the bridge section over on the right. But this one ended up just being like super wordy. But this is probably also the first song where we sort of get into just kind of like the backstory of what's going on in the country. This song talks about how like the economy sucks, everybody's working hard, nobody's getting ahead, and you know the basically the system sucks. The system sucks. You work hard, you get nothing, and that's life. And you know it's not a happy song, but I think it's a very true song. I think a lot of people are going through this kind of thing. You know, even if you have a job where you're supporting your family, you might you hear from people all the time that people are working really hard, but they're not getting all that they could have out of life. And sort of this song is about that, about the things we do to try and get ahead, and how we just often get knocked back by life. So this song ends up being a lot about that. Also in the background image you'll see there, that actually is from an MRI of my brain. So there's more proof that I have one. I'm gonna tell that joke forever. But yeah. Also, you'll notice that throughout the text, like if you look at the text on the right there, you notice that the text is kind of broken up. That became just a theme that I started running with in the lyrics, or stylizing the lyrics for this artwork, was to have them get like sort of pure broken up like that, as if we're kind of getting like sort of these words from another time or another era, which is an idea I lifted from a record by 9 Inch Nails called Year Zero, which was a huge influence on this whole album conceptually. So if you've heard Year Zero, or the story behind Year Zero, probably would fill in a lot of maybe some storytelling gaps that I have in this, because there's a lot that I lifted from Year Zero for this. Moving on to the next track, this would be Herd Cities. This song talks sort of vaguely about what I think is a coming reality, which is that as the economy spirals into free fall here, we find ourselves in the difficult situation of like trying to figure out, how are we going to live, where, and more importantly, where are we going to live? And eventually what a lot of people in the story end up finding is that they have to move to places where they can afford to live, which are towns and cities that are, just end up being these huge collections of what are essentially poor people. However, in this being, a huge economic crisis, the government decides that instead of trying to provide adequate welfare to all these people that are now impoverished in this new economy, they do what is essentially the unthinkable, and that is bomb them. Literally bomb them. Fly planes, drop bombs, and kill as many of these people as they can in order to alleviate the burden on the welfare system. And there is actually some historical precedent to say that this is a possibility. We know that I think it was in 1985, the city of Philadelphia dropped a bomb on some people in West Philadelphia that were part of the MOVE organization in order to just try and get them out of the neighborhood. So there's some historical precedent to say that it is very possible that our government could turn on us, and if they say that, like, oh well, we have too many poor people and they're too much of a problem, maybe the easiest thing to do would be to simply drop a bunch of bombs on them and kill them off, rather than actually try to provide for them, or maybe they can't adequately provide for them. It's not a happy song. In fact, Herd Cities is probably the most aggressive song on the album. All the names of all the proper names of places are redacted from the text of the lyrics, but there's some obvious nods to what was going on just a few years ago in places like Michigan, where we could look at things like the Flint water crisis as a practice run for what this sort of this type of extermination might look like. The Flint water crisis was just an attempt to poison an entire town of impoverished people, and it failed. It didn't work, at least, or it didn't work in terms of like trying to kill them off. So now they're going to have to go to more extreme measures like bombing. So Herd Cities is about how people gather in basically in these cities that are like herds, or they're gathered like herds. Where they can be more easily killed off. And so Herd Cities is about what I think is a very possible future for the country, where eventually we might look at a place like Camden, New Jersey, or Brockton, Mass, or Central Falls, Rhode Island, places that have lots of impoverished people. They might be targets. So
that was the most unsettling recording session out of the whole project.
It was messed up. Thank you to Jim Schultz, our drummer. Jim doesn't play on this song. Our old drummer Rob Fusco actually plays on this one, but Jim recorded Herd Cities, and it was a great addition. And we recorded that, I think, in like December of 2016. It's pretty old.
It's one of the first ones we recorded, if not the first one between you and I for the project, I think.
That is true. It was originally included on the first "We Are Not Trump" compilation. That is where it originally lived. That's why we recorded it. But I knew I wanted to save it for this record.
Absolutely.
So that's why it's still included here. And Jim did a great job on the recording and mix for that song. So that takes us to the next track, which is Reclamation Day. So Reclamation Day is the longest song on the album. And what this one is about is, this is sometime after the couple that are telling the story have become a part of the resistance movement to try and defeat the government forces. One of which is that the part of the government gets taken over by a Christo-fascist organization known as Christ Superior. And Reclamation Day, the song is actually about the day after the actual Reclamation Day, which is the day when Christ Superior asserts itself and begins its campaign of what is essentially ethnic cleansing throughout the country. And I called it Reclamation Day because the concept of reclamation is something that comes up in a lot of fascist with literature and fascist ideologies, and where fascism in general always has a component of where it tries to create or rejuvenate a racial or ethnic purity, whomever the ethnic group in question is, usually white people. Always try to create or rejuvenate a particular group, and the term reclamation is frequently used for that. Like, is it to say this one particular group is going to reclaim their birthright or their heritage from having shared it with immigrants or mixed race people or whomever, whatever BS they think is like some sort of they think is the enemy. The song Reclamation Day is about the day after the actual Reclamation Day, when things are going down hard and bad, and our main character, our protagonist, is trying to sort of reconcile his role as kind of a wannabe revolutionary, even though his heart's not really in it. But the main thing is that there is war going on in the streets, in the city, which is, again, a kind of future that I think is something that could very much happen here in this country, where cities start to get bombed, cities start to get put under siege, that we start to see urban warfare in American cities, and it's a terrifying thought. And so a lot of the imagery in the song has to do with buildings collapsing, and but also a lot of the emotional trauma that goes along with that, including also his relationship, because he's trying to salvage his relationship, but again, it's not looking too good at this point. And this song also, again, I recall, was one of the last songs that I worked on before my stroke. The rhythm guitar parts that I recorded, that you hear in the recording of this song, I actually made before I had my stroke. They're like the last, like, me at 100% capacity recordings, which is kind of weird for me to listen to now. But I'm still really proud of like how this song came out. I love the jam that goes on in the middle of this song.
That jam is one of my favorite things I've ever laid on tape.
We rip off Sister Machine Gun, and we are proud.
We even joked about it before it was committed too.
I know, but that's canonical now. So, all right. So I'm gonna keep moving right along here up to the next one. And this one is In the Crowd. This is probably the mellowest song on the album, at least for most of it. First of all, the artwork, I just want to say, this is another MRI. You are actually kind of inside my skull. That's my mouth and nose right there. And I just thought this was a spooky image, because it's a very odd perspective of being like in my head like that. So I wanted to commit it to the artwork here. I just thought it looked awesome. This song is very much about the end of the relationship between the main character and his girlfriend. And specifically, it ends at the moment of an explosion that the revolutionaries place as part of their campaign to fight back against the government forces they're trying to defeat. Where literally they don't even really break up. She escapes from both the relationship and the situation, like during an explosion. And that's why he says, "I lost you in the crowd." And sort of the last thing he sees is her leaving, holding hands with someone else. And And so he says, I lost you in the crowd changing hands. So like she's kind of going off with someone else, leaving him wherever he is. Meanwhile, like it's happening at a bomb site, where there's been an explosion. And so, he talks about how his ears are ringing and how, like, he's got, like, the taste of blood in his mouth from the explosion. He's just sort of, like, caught up in the middle of it. But there was all these other things leading up to it, and now he's just kind of, like, lost in this sort of situation. And that's a really difficult concept to sort of capture visually, so I'm kind of grateful that I had these cool MRI photos to use in place of that. I wanted to find just some sort of explosion site, but I didn't know where I was going to find one, so I just kind of went with this. Next track. So this is Abandon Hope. So Abandon Hope is the first single off the album. We released a video for it last month when we did the soft release for the album. A lot of people were here for that. And so if you haven't seen the video for Abandon Hope, definitely go check it out on YouTube. It was a lot of fun. We shot it just in my apartment with my smartphone. And I just edited it in one night. And it was really great, a lot of fun to do. This artwork, though, what you're looking at in the art here is a picture of a coat that was left on a concrete slab outside of a hospital in Providence. And I took this photograph when I was making my walk to work, and it was I think it was in January that I took this picture. And it was really, really cold. And that coat, which you can see on the slab there, was frozen, kind of, slumped over. And it was so cold that it had just been frozen in place. And I was in shock to be seeing this, one weekday morning, because, I thought, like, this had to have belong to someone. What happened to this person? Are they in the hospital? Where are they? I don't know. But I thought, like, how desperate do you have to be? Why would you be taking your coat off, in the middle of January when it's super, super cold out? So I didn't understand what was going on, but I loved the image. So I took this photograph. This song in particular, details a lot of what's going on in terms of just what's happening across the country. Talks about the rise of Christ Superior as the major political force in the country, and also it talks about how bad things are getting, how it's that shelves are bare, faucets have run dry, food is scarce, but there's lots of action going on. There is, police are on the roads. It's difficult to travel. There's blockades. There's checkpoints. There's a lot of bad stuff going on. One cool thing that I'm really proud of about the song is the kind of dual vocal aspect. And you can see it in the way that I arranged the lyrics. That I had one particular voice with a lot of distortion that's singing the lyrics that are in the left column there. And then more of a natural sounding voice for the lyrics that are on the right. And they sort of play off of each other and tell two separate thoughts, but it all happens at the same time in the course of the song. And I was really just psyched at pulling that together. And of course, our mix engineer Christopher Brown did an amazing job of highlighting both of those parts and making it sound awesome. One theme that I do want to talk about is that probably one thing that I've always wanted to do, and I probably will never do this in a house that I own, but I've always been fascinated by Dante's Inferno and the idea that above the entrance to hell there was a sign that said, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." And I just thought it would be funny to take a sign like that, but put it above your door as you're leaving your house. To sort of say, oh, you're entering the world? Well, abandon all hope because you're out in the world. So that's my macabre sense of humor. But I would probably never actually do that. I'm, probably a much more positive person these days. But I guess if the country does get as bad as I'm sort of envisioning for the purpose of this record, I don't know. Maybe I will. Who knows? So next track. Oh, okay. I guess I put that in the wrong spot. This would be "Keep to the Plan." So "Keep to the Plan" is another song that again, more MRI artwork. It's again, you're looking at my skull in the artwork there from some of my MRIs from when I had my stroke, and this song really just gives more information about what's happening with our main character. He's gone completely despondent since the events of In the Crowd. He is desperately trying to find his girlfriend, and he can't. But he's also coming to the realization that if he had been a better person, if he had been a more loving person, a more interesting person, a more just overall like done better than he could have, then she wouldn't have had any reason to leave him. So he's sort of come to that realization. Meanwhile, again, all the bad stuff is continuing to happen. The country is continuing to get worse. The resistance movement has fractured and fallen apart. And so now he is just desperate to escape, which he is going to try and do. He's just going to keep to the plan, whatever that is. And I guess for him, the plan is just to get out of Dodge. That takes us to Loathing. Loathing is the other instrumental song on the record. And for this one, the image you're looking at here, I apologize if anybody is grossed out, but that is my tooth. I had a tooth taken out of my head a few months ago. And what you are looking at is the broken, bloody remains of that tooth. And just when it comes to the concept of loathing, getting a tooth pulled definitely, in my opinion, fits that bill. It was a painful experience. It sucked, and I hope I don't have to go through it again. I take much better care of my teeth. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, I also like to apply like distortions to it and filters just to sort of make it, just to dirty it up a bit. It was a lot more clear and gross than the original photograph, but yeah, I just sort of like wanted to show that to give us a little break, a little bit of Loathing. Also, sonically, Loathing is nuts. That song was originally conceived as a filler track that I just decided to leave in because it was just so freakishly loud and gross and absurd and fun. It was fun to play live the one time we did play it live. And it was just bonkers. And then the recorded version, again, our mix engineer Christopher Brown knocked it out of the park. The mix on it is just insane. And then when Devin, our mastering engineer, just boosted all the levels and made it loud, it is just the most extreme song I think on the entire record. It's great. I love it. So Loathing is good. That brings us to The New World. This is the last song on the record. And this sort of details sort of the conclusion where our main character has finally decided to flee the country. And so this song talks about him leaving the country and where he goes. He goes to someplace further south. In my head, he goes to Brazil, but he could go to Mexico. He could go anywhere, really, as long as it's south. And he sort of like talks about just his sadness and his his depression over it, and he's just basically escaping, and this is just sort of like the final scene with him. There's no chorus to this song. It's just 4 verses that just sort of detail what he is going through. The picture is probably the only photo that is pretty much, unadulterated in the artwork. That's just the street that I live on right now. I have a little patio overlooking the street, and I just went out one night and just took a photograph down the street. It was a kind of a cloudy night. So the sky was, just completely black with a little bit of exception of some light on the horizon, I think from one of the universities down the street from me. But I just love the contrast of the dark sky and then the street just all lit up by just some street lamps. I thought it must have just been the day after garbage day. And I just love that image. I was really psyched about it. I just thought I would turn it into these lyrics, and I thought about, this is the new world. Maybe it's a little bit more peaceful, hopefully, for our protagonist. So that is the rough explanation. Questions? Perfect. Okay. I did include a couple other images here just to show people real quick. There's just some credits here. The 4 images in this picture, though, those are more MRI brain scans and what you can see specifically in there is you can see the dark patches in the left hemisphere. It looks like it's on the right in those pictures, but it's actually the left hemisphere. That's the actual brain hemorrhage I had that tried to paralyze me. And then last but not least, there's us, distorted, thanking everybody for being here, which I very much appreciate. And that is pretty much the album artwork there. I don't know if Rick wants to add anything.
Well, I got a question. When we want to start working on the next one?
Wow, we just released this record, and you're already talking about when are we going to work on the next one. I know that a certain someone named Jim Schultz was definitely interested in torturing me into creating another awesome album. So I think that's definitely going to happen. I definitely want to get out and play some shows for these songs, though. So that's
absolutely.
That's going to happen. So we're going to have to work on that. But we have to wait for all this COVID nonsense to happen. I think as far as like making another record goes, though, I think that I think that's in the cards. I wasn't too sure. I've frequently in the past I've threatened to say like this is it. I'm done with DCA, and that I'm done with, and especially with doing this full length. I've said everything that I have to say and blah 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 blah. But after sort of finishing this record, or at least getting to a point with it where I'm starting to really enjoy it. I sort of think now, like, because of the story that I've told here with these characters, I think that like there's more to tell. There's other characters to talk about. There's Decimator. There's our female protagonist and what she does after she leaves. Our guy from this story. What happens there? I think there's more to tell. There's more stories to work on. There's more in this world to develop. Certainly, there is no lack of outrage right now to draw inspiration from when it comes to this tale. I'm just looking at the chat window now, and Deathscore Ray is asking, is there going to be follow up to this story? I mean, that's, as I was just saying, like, yeah, I think there's definitely more stories to tell. I would really love to work on Decimator's story. I think the portions of this that are Decimator, I think are very interesting. He's kind of this mysterious figure throughout the story in the lyrics, and especially if you're listening to the stuff that is attributed to him. Again, if you hear me singing anything with a kind of very aggressive distortion, that is pretty much Decimator. So I think there's a lot more to his story to tell. Moon Demon 4567 is asking, at any point Has the bane of artists writer's block ever occurred? And if it did, how was that overcome? That's a great question. It's funny because I go through writer's block all the time. And the only way that I ever really get over it is I just try to do work. I try to do like studio work, music work, try to be in the studio, be working with my stuff, and try to just keep creating. Even if I'm not creating something necessarily for Downcity Armory, if I'm working on like any one of my other projects, which is like Kaneda, my lo-fi hip-hop project, or Laughing Ghost, which is my dark electronica project. If I'm working on that, I might come up with ideas for that, and I might think, oh, maybe this would be an idea I could work in a DCA song. Maybe, I don't know. But that just sort of like gets the juices flowing. So if you ever have writer's block, the best thing to do is just to try and write anything, even if it's nonsense, even if it's just garbage, even if you're just, like, I don't even, just taking a microphone and going for 45 minutes.
Go wherever it is. Go wherever it is that you create and that you're comfortable creating, and just sit there. And you're gonna end up with something eventually. You'll end up with crap, and you're gonna end up with stuff you hate, but eventually you're gonna find something. Just sit in it.
Yeah.
Just sit in your creative space.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Stephen King talks about that too, about how like you need to have a good creative space and you need to go there all the time. Even if you may not get anything one day, but if you go there, if you show up there every day and keep working on it, then you might you'll eventually the muse will arrive and do his job.
Yeah, right. That place should always be your place of respite. It should be just where you go to feel, that you can do anything, even if you have nothing to say. You just have to sit there, and it'll come.
Marcus CH22, your voice equals golden. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I always have such I don't know what the word is. Apprehension about my singing voice. I've been criticized so much as a singer. Like especially when I first started to sing, like I was cut down a lot about singing, and so like I'm always very apprehensive of that. So I appreciate you saying that. And he says, I've been trying to finish an album for the past 2 years. So I was mostly looking for advice. Hey, we've been working on this record for 5 years, over 5 years. So definitely, like if you're only on 2, I'd say you're ahead of the game right now. Like if you're only on year 2, work on your album, I'd say you're good. You're cooking right along there. So like you just keep hacking at it. You just have to keep trying it. And again, it's we just kept at it, and like here we are. We're finally releasing it, and we're really happy. Not only are we releasing it, but we've also put out a music video to go along with one of the songs for this album. So that's a pretty good accomplishment. It's a lot more than I think I've ever done with a record. And actually,
absolutely same here.
And actually, that brings me to the next thing I wanted to mention, because I'm gonna do a thing. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do a thing. I'm gonna do a thing right now.
Yeah, I'll do a drum roll.
Oh, it's happened. It's there. People who follow us on Bandcamp are their alerts are probably just blowing up because I just released this. The remix album is now live on our Bandcamp page. It's got 8 remixes, or should I say 7 remixes and 1 alternate version of Downcity Armory songs from this album. So if you go to our Bandcamp page, you will find remixes there. And it is now live. Name your price on that. But it's got remixes on there from Noir Magnetic, from DJ Sawtooth, from Transdusk, from The Difference Engine, from Snow Beasts did a remix.
Nor Magnetic did one?
Noir Magnetic did
Holy
a
crap.
remix. Yep. And our friend James T. Connolly also did a great remix of New World. What was really great about this is that really the people doing these remixes are all friends who just wanted to create some alternate stuff for this. I'm going to shrink that down. There we go. Just wanted to create some alternate stuff for this record, and I couldn't be happier about how it came out. And it's just so amazing to hear these remixes. In fact, I love these remixes so much. I think I'm just going to start playing them right now. So this is the big surprise that I had for everybody, which was these remixes. So you can go to Bandcamp and order this right now, but I'm just gonna start playing them. So please feel free to keep hanging out with us. I'm gonna put these on, and I'll be in the chat. Let me know what you think. This first one is a remix of "Loathing" by Noir Magnetic.
Oh yeah, there we go. I'm gonna message this guy right now.
And I gotta say, Noir Magnetic, my buddy, he has some of the best taste in music, and he really incorporated the vocal contributions of Blind Johnny Smoke. He tells us a lot about the future in this remix, and this is all, again, culled from the originals too. So, like in the originals, what you hear is very distorted, but in this remix, it comes through a lot more clearly and tells a lot of the story about what's happening here. I'm going to take a quick break.
What we didn't know back in the early days of 2021 was exactly how active Decimator had already been. When governments in Venezuela, Sri Lanka and the Philippines suspended internet activity, Decimator reopened it. Where the rich had hid their fortunes belonging to the middle class, Decimator found them and restored them to their rightful owners. When justice seemed to abandon all victims, Decimator plucked it from the abyss and gave it new scales with which to judge the hearts of men and
This guy is I can't even begin to speak my respect for this guy. He's a good friend. He's a beloved friend. He's a curator of all things fine when it comes to music. It is a pleasure and an honor knowing this guy. And having him contribute on a project that I'm affiliated with is so cool.
How we were complicit in the creation of such a beast, and negligent in our duty to curtail it.
I've only heard this once, and it was a long time ago, so if I'm quiet, it's because I'm actually as excited as you guys are about this. Well, probably more so.
So many events now seem like they were practicing all along. The Flint water crisis, Standing Rock, even Snowden's exile were all tests of the public's tolerance for fascism. When walls went up around Philadelphia, only the poorest residents of the northern section of the city were not surprised at their exemption. The carpet bombing of Camden, New Jersey, the single most destructive salvo in the government's campaign against poverty to date, revealed they had succeeded. The execution of nearly 75,000 residents at the hands of their protectors was met with barely a whisper of protest at the time. Shock and awe prevailed, precursor to the rise of Christ's superior.
This is awesome.
All right.
I had forgotten that I had heard that once already.
Oh yeah.
Capitalism is an economic system, a system for the production and distribution of things we need and want.
This is a remix of Run and Gun by DJ Sawtooth. She always does kick-ass stuff. If you haven't heard Sawtooth's Hostile Design LP, go check that out. I sing on the track Devoured. It's killer.
Sawtooth does really good work.
Oh yeah.
I believe the first time I met her was when we played Firehouse 13, which I also, on a side note, think was possibly the last Firehouse 13 show ever.
Might have been. And it was also the last DCA show.
Holy crap, yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was the last DCA show.
A first and a lot of last.
Yeah.
That place was like a holy land, though. That's a shame. Nor Magnetic just sent through the guards. He's really happy about the release.
Sorry, that was me.
Man, I only heard this in my car on the way to work. Didn't give it this is a great remix. Once again, no Sawtooth. You ever see your Sawtooth?
Oh yeah.
Cheers.
Also, awesome mastering job from Devin Wedge at Wonderful Color Studios. He mastered all these remixes, and they just all kill.
Sound amazing.
Yeah.
They really do. The glitches are awesome. Yeah, Ray, right? Right. Ray, absolutely. Sawtooth is freaking awesome. Oh, your vocals sound really good on this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the first time I've heard it in this fashion. I'm used to the other one, which I think are also awesome. But
Yeah.
it's really cool hearing it in another light. You know what I mean? That was nasty.
Let me tell you about something. It shows that the basis of the capitalistic system is private property. It happened when Eleanor and I went down to visit the
Awesome. Awesome mix. And this is a remix of Keep to the Plan by Transdusk.
And here am I, budding among the ruins, with only sorrow to bite us.
That sample is
Weeping were seen.
Blind Johnny Smoke from UK's Flesh Eating Foundation. He's reading a quote from Pablo Neruda that I had him record, and T.S. Moth of Transdusk just created this incredibly groovy version. Love it.
Sawtooth was a drummer as well.
Oh yeah.
That's news to me.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sawtooth drums for Transdusk, or has.
I've never actually seen Transdusk before.
Oh well, we got to remedy that.
Yeah, right. I've always seen the shows when they were posted. I think Mark used to be in that band at one point or another. From Mark DiCaprio from hold on, Necrophiliac Meat Circus, Zero Negative, of those bands.
I think you are right.
That's the closest degree of separation I believe that Transdusk. Not for lack of wanting, just pure logistics and coincidence. But yeah, they have bleeped on the map many times. I think my wife's seen them before. My share of drumming, but I've been retired for a while. Part of me always thinks about doing it again, now that I haven't smoked in years. Oh my god.
You know, it'll be interesting if and when we get around to another DCA record to do one not completely sober. From start to finish, because
right. I think I have that in me. I believe I do. I can do it. I'd like to actually.
I mean, that's just how I'm living now. So yeah,
well,
I mean, because like it's very apparent to me, like just the difference. You know, making this record, like going back and listening to older stuff that we recorded and being like, yeah, that whole section or that song or that part was like made like kind of while maybe it wasn't necessarily like under the influence of a substance, but like I was still like in the mindset of someone who was in the throes of being a drinker or something like that, and like it makes a difference as I think of music differently. I approach it differently now. So
well, it was interesting for me because post your hospitalization, anything that I contributed to that record is actually the only material I've ever done sober. At least during the actual time of being in the space with you and recording, as an experiment for myself and as a respect and camaraderie for you and your newfound lifestyle. And it certainly goes a lot better than the other way. I'll say that for it. It definitely does.
A lot of the stuff I've been making now, I feel like has been better. I feel like when I am playing, you know, aside from overcoming the limitations of like being post-stroke, you know, I feel like I have like energy levels that are much better than I did when I was drinking. So.
Well, of course you do. I mean,
yeah.
Just think about what you've done and think about where you were before this whole COVID thing happened. I'm sure you're still the same. I mean, I'm sure you're just more based on just a healthy lifestyle. And we certainly didn't. Neither of us were in a healthy lifestyle when we both started recording this album together. Not at all. I think for me, one of the big scares I had was the Worm Rot show, where I was just like, oh my god. The next morning, I thought to myself, I can't believe that just happened.
And that was right after I got out of the hospital too. Like that was like not long after that.
Was that really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. Because I remember, because I was terrified. I was terrified of the Worm Rot show.
Well, that explains why we're still alive then. Okay.
Yeah.
Neither of us. Thank you for that. Holy crap.
No, I definitely wasn't drinking. Like and that show was nuts. Because I remember we were right at the front of the stage, and then like I immediately got out of there, like because that pit opened up immediately. By the way, this is a remix of Head to Head to Head by the Difference Engine, which is Christopher G. Brown's project, and it's just bonkers. I love it.
Ray, I'm thinking of buying it myself. By the time we're done listening to this, I'm gonna buy it just because. And I'm gonna buy our own album too. So charity's charity. Dude, these remixes are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Todd, your vocals sound really good on this entire project, by the way.
Thank you. It's I've always been self-conscious about my singing voice, which may surprise some people because I end up singing in so many projects that I'm associated with, but it's always been a struggle. It's one of my earliest experiences as a vocalist. One of my like you know how you ever have like these moments like in your life that like a memory that like constantly haunts you. One of the memories that constantly haunts me is when I was around like 18, 19 years old. I was singing with one of my earliest industrial bands, and a friend of mine who was my keyboard player sang for one song. He did a really good job singing this one song, so that when I got back up to the mic to finish the set, someone in the audience sort of screamed, "Let Nick sing!" You know, Nick was his name, and like, "Let Nick sing!" And like my heart like broke like right there, like, and I was like so shattered by that, and so like that haunts me like all the time when I think about like my abilities as a vocalist, and you know, I'm always waiting for that guy to jump out of the crowd and be like, you know, let this person sing or get on the stage. Like it always just sort of like haunts me like every time.
Right.
So Marcus, sorry too. That's Mark Sharon. I'm pretty sure that's Mark Sharon. He's so true. Best frontman too. You sir are a treasure. God bless you. I love you so much, dude. Mark is my ambassador of Quan. That is for damn sure. So thank you. Love you, buddy. Yeah, I love you too, man.
See, I'm not the only one that agrees.
It's I've worked hard to get over it, but it's always one of those lingering doubts, lingering fears. But
at the same time, that certain level of self-consciousness is what helps transcend. I think forcing yourself to get over that. People hear that. They hear that inner battle, and that's where good stuff happens. At least in my experience. You ever hear someone that just thinks they're the greatest thing ever, and they're not? That shit sucks. Most of the time. There might be a few singers out there that are the best shit ever, and I'm sure that they.
I'm definitely not that. I'm definitely not that person that thinks that. I'm not in my head anyway. Maybe I project that. I don't know, but
no, not at all. Not at all. No, you don't.
I've definitely maybe I've been accused of that. I'm not sure, but yes, Mark, we agree. The production on this is amazing. These remixes are incredible. This one is I believe this is Snow Beasts doing a remix of Abandoned Hope. Yep. Snow Beasts are a Providence industrial group. They do a lot of shows too. They are amazing. I think I just cornered them one night. It was like, hey, do you want to remix a song? And they're like, yeah, sure. And I was sort of amazed that they even said yes. And then they turned this in, and this is just slamming.
I remember that first time we saw them at Machines with Magnets. I was like floating 3 inches off of the ground.
Yeah.
That entire set. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, their live sets are always insane and fun and beat heavy, which is great. When I think Providence Industrial, I definitely think of Snow Beasts. Like, they're kind of premier in my head. Yeah, Ray is just saying I watched Snow Beasts perform 3 days ago. Like, yeah, they've done some live stream stuff.
Oh, nice. I haven't seen them.
Yeah, they've been doing some live streaming stuff. A lot of groups have been.
Different deal? Wow. All right.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Casey Desmond's good too.
They deserve recognition.
They do. I love Snow Beasts. Yeah, Robert and Liz, they're great people. If you watch the video I made for the song "Running Out of Time" from my other project, Killers Make the Best, I wear a Snow Beast t-shirt in one of the scenes of it. So. I still got my Snow Beasts mask. Which Robert just dropped off on my front porch because he lives down the street from me. So. So coming up, we have an alternate version of Abandoned Hope. This is something that our drummer Jim Schultz did while he was on a flight back from Europe. So it's called Jim's 40,000 Foot Mix. This is not really a remix, it's the same song, but...
Wow.
I'm just like one of these people that like if I'm handed like material that's like done and finished and like sounds good, I'm just gonna put it out because I've always been a fan of like those releases where you get to hear like alternate versions of songs, or you get to hear the progression of a particular song. I know Cell Dweller did this a lot, where he would release a song, but then he'd release like a bunch of earlier versions to go along with it. So when we had this, when Jim presented me with this other mix, I was like, well, I wanted to release it just to be like, hey, here's another version of it. To sort of say like, here's another way it could be presented. And it's very different from the album version, but I think it's just another great take on the song.
That low end is amazing on that.
Well, that bass is Abram Tabor, who also does bass on the Old World. And man, does he slam. He is a slamming bassist. And he understands. I told him, like, one of the reasons that I picked him to do some of these songs was because he gets these really great sludgy bass tones. And yeah, it's huge. I love it.
Sludge, be still my heart.
And he said that he made that bass tone with just it's all amp. He's got like some crazy Trainer 2 bass amp, and it's just madness. I love it. I love it.
I can't wait to play this one live. I can't wait.
It's gonna slam.
If this is on the set list, then before I go up on stage, someone has to hold my wallet.
What we didn't
Just
know
saying.
back in the early days of 20.
So this is my remix.
Exactly how
I'm not going to finish that song on stage.
When governments
saying.
in Venezuela, Sri Lanka,
I'm
and
going
the
over.
Philippines suspended internet
So this is my remix. This is a remix of the instrumental tracks Fear and Loathing, but I got some guest appearances on here.
Later found them and restored them to their rightful owners.
First up is
Justice seemed to abandon all victims.
my friend Anomaly PIK.
The abyss and gave it new scales with which to judge the hearts of men and women.
Judgment, fearless, sleepless, speechless, lost sight of everything. Patience, temptations, judgment, fearless, sleepless, speechless, lost sight of everything. Temptations, patience, mind of destruction, listening to instructions, having nightmares. Feeling out of place, been through it. Lost sight of track, drop 21 blackjack. Feeling so wavy, in and out. Conquer self-doubt, final bout. IPAs, dark stout. Word to mouth, middle finger to the clout. Judgment, fearless, speechless, sleepless. Lost sight of everything. Patience, temptations. Judgment, fearless, sleepless, speechless, lost sight of everything. Temptations, patience.
But the American Reclamation
Anomaly
Project
PIK.
not just for those homespun
Representing
forces
the
on the ground
401.
in the US, but the rest of the world. As, in the immortal words of John Foster Dulles, we too had to go through an agonizing reappraisal of how we were complicit in the creation of such a beast. And
You really get to hear more of
negligence
Blind Johnny Smoke's spoken
So
word
many
parts.
of us now seem like they were practicing all along. The great water crisis.
And now we're gonna get another guest appearance from my buddies from New Hampshire, Force Reaction.
Tolerance for fascism.
Downcity Armory, step it up to the fight like you wanna be. Slash the back, moving up, then you'll be able to stop. We'll make a point and prove it. Hate is the end of the line. You'll face the grind, never going to stop. Saying victory's mine. One by one as our enemies drop. We'll move the crowd aloud. Numbers growing louder, we'll lift the sound. First controlling 50%
Oh, just
of the wealth of the world. Flexing their greed on the boys.
Just looking back at the chat, Moon Demon 4567. He said, "I just saw your comment about your vocals. You said I'm epic. Thank you. That's a really nice thing to say. I appreciate that."
Revealed they have succeeded. The execution of nearly 75,000 residents at the hands of their protectors was met with barely a whisper of protest at the time. Shock and awe prevailed, precursor to the rise of Christ Superior. Christ Superior.
So that solo at the end was all me,
Christ Superior.
Rick.
Christ Superior.
I gotta share you a private video to explain why that was all you. I'm not gonna plug something else on this channel.
Okay.
But holy
Well,
shit.
you know what? It should have been Brian Sweet from Force Reaction. That's who it should have been. He should have made it. I asked him to. He said he was gonna. So Brian.
I see.
That's on you.
Yeah.
So I had to go in and do it. That's fine. I never get to solo anymore. I got to build my solo chops back up anyway. So okay.
You're doing them, so
Yeah.
there you go. You know.
So this remix is by my friend Jim Connolly of the band Dim Lit. He's been in a bunch of bands from the Boston area. I always think of him as being from Exhaler, who basically did nothing but 30-second songs in a wild variety of different styles. He's an amazing musician. And he came up with this alternate version of the New World, which I thought was just great. But if you listen to it, I accidentally sent him some vocal outtakes that I ended up not using in the finished version of the New World, and he used them in this remix. So I was just like, all right, let's just roll with that. So there's actually like a verse in this remix that doesn't appear in the original version that gives kind of like an alternate perspective of our character. Like that right there. That was an alternate lyric.
Nice.
There's more of them. I absolutely knew that this was probably going to be one of the most difficult songs to remix, and I knew that when Jim approached me about remixing a song, I knew I had to give him this because it was the probably weirdest song I could think of, and he's such an inventive musician. So Mark, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. You're awesome, dude. And there you go. Remixes from the new Old World. The remix album is now available. Pay what you want from our Bandcamp, so you can get the new Old World and the remixes all at the same time. Again, we're going to be giving all the proceeds to charity, so pay what you want, pay at least the minimum for the album, and then whatever you want for the remix album. We're going to be giving all the proceeds to support various COVID-19 relief and support efforts, of which there are tons. So please be as generous as you can. But if you just want to grab it for free, just please play it really loud wherever you are. That's all we can really ask. Obviously, as far as record releases go, this has been totally weird. So we appreciate everybody who took the time to hang out with us tonight while we talked about the record and listened to me go on and on about my horrible visions of the future. Appreciate everybody in the chat who talked with us. Everybody who's been supportive of the record and of the band so far. As soon as we're able, we're gonna get back into the studio and start rehearsals. Hopefully that means that as the situation improves, we're going to be able to do shows again. Fingers crossed, we might have something for October, but we don't obviously don't know yet, and of course anything could happen. Just bear with us as we try to figure this all out, and we'll do the same for you. But that is about it, I think. So, I don't know. Rick?
Well, well, that was a good stream.
Was it?
It was. It was, judging by the metrics, which I'm very anal retentive about.
I can't even think about that.
We had good engagement. We had some bumps in the roads and the quality of it. We're going to work on that. That's the easiest part. That's the easiest part. We just got to figure out a way to put in work and share it with people in this day and age, because things are different now.
Yeah.
But I think we can do it, and I'm excited about it. And just like you, but slightly differently. Well, majorly differently, because we both have different experiences to share in the recording of this album. I, as far as the grind and the work ethic goes, I went through a huge spectrum of emotions with putting my portion of it into it, which was just, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do it? It's my temperament with everything. But the closer and closer it got to being finished, the more and more I realized how excited I was about it. And I just wanted to thank you, Todd, first and foremost, for letting me be a part of it, because this album is awesome, and the experience of recording this album was awesome. It's probably the most fun I've had doing a project ever.
Because we were just sitting in my apartment, like putting it together.
Yeah, to a certain extent, but there was the adventure behind it too. You know,
Yeah.
we've always just used the recording of the album as a precursor to further adventures in the
Yeah,
evening.
that's
You
true.
know, it's just it's and I hear it in the songs. I'm like, oh, I remember when I laid that guitar part down, and then we did that, and you know, this record means a lot to me, and I think over time it's gonna end up meaning more and more. Not that it doesn't already, because it really really does mean a lot to me. So thanks for having on this, and I
Well,
look forward to many more.
well, I appreciate that thought, and hopefully this means we're gonna have the opportunity to work on more. Um, so we just hope that everybody follows along with us, follows us on all the usual social media, even though we are terrible at it. But yeah, we'll try to do our best to keep everybody updated on everything and let you know what's going on with us. And hopefully, as soon as we know anything, you will know something. And hopefully, that will mean shows where we can celebrate this properly. But in the meantime, please just download it, play it. Send us messages, let us know what you think about it. Tell us what you hated, heckle us. It's all good. After everything that we've been through, that I've been through personally, that Rick's been through, yeah, we can take it.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, Moon Demon 4567. I definitely want to catch some shows. Me too. So,
Moon Demon 4, 5, 6, 7. You'll be one of the first to know. You absolutely will be.
definitely.
I
can't wait for
know
shows.
who you are outside of Twitch.
All right. Okay, cool. Well, I don't know. I'd say this is a wrap. So thank you everybody for hanging out with us. Catch up with us online, and we will be in touch with all of you soon. Grab that record, play it loud, and we'll just see you soon. Good night.
Later, everyone.
Good night.